We start this evening with auspicious news for Thai PBS and Thai PBS fans. Earlier today, Her Royal Highness Princess Maha Chakri Sirinthorn presided over the inauguration of Thai PBS's headquarters. This afternoon, Her Royal Highness Princess Maha Chakri Sirinthorn was officially welcomed by the Board of Governors and Board of Directors of Thai PBS, as well as representatives from other media organizations. Her Royal Highness officially presided over the grand opening of the Thai Public Broadcasting Service's state-of-the-art headquarters here on Vipavari Rangsit Road. This is the second time the Princess has visited Thai PBS. 3 years ago, on August 17, 2009, Her Royal Highness laid the headquarters foundation stone. Now that the facilities here are built and are full operation, the Princess has officially opened the headquarters and took the opportunity to tour our buildings and facilities. The Princess also took a turn in the news anchor's chair and read news scripts off our prompters. Located on a 4.2-hectare plot of land, the Thai PBS headquarters has 4 main buildings. Building A is where the administrative offices are located, where the news department is, along with all the technical stuff, studios, as well as the master control room. Building C is where the cafeteria, co-op store, clinic, and fitness center are located. And Building D is where the public library, main auditorium, and public media academic institution reside. After visiting the facilities, the Princess departed and visitors to Thai PBS took turns walking around the buildings. Now in our 5th year, the Thai Public Broadcasting Service continues to provide the public with accurate and unbiased news and quality content. We are Thailand's first and only public broadcaster completely free of any political or financial pressure, influence, or bias. The Charter Amendment has stirred up opposing views among Pheu Thai ministers. Deputy PM Chalerm Yubamrum believes that the Charter changes should be done article by article, whereas Deputy Agriculture Minister Nathawut Saikia urged Parliament to push through the pending bill third reading, so the Constitution Drafting Assembly can be set up to overhaul the entire Charter. The PM, however, stressed the need to suspend the amendment bill until the Council of State issues its recommendations. Amidst differences in the interpretation of the Constitution Court's verdict, the Prime Minister urged suspension of the Charter rewrite process until the Council of State has completed its study and issues clear recommendations. The Premier also believes that the opposing views among the people in government and the Pheu Thai party itself do not constitute conflict, but are simply expressions of different perspectives. Earlier on, Deputy PM Chalerm Yubamrum commented that by proceeding the third reading of the bill, the government could be seen as attempting to overthrow the constitutional monarchy, and hence the Pheu Thai party might be at risk of being disbanded. He then suggested that Parliament alter the Charter by amending it article by article. However, Deputy Agricultural Minister Nathawut Saikia, who is also a core red shirt leader, on the other hand, was of the opinion that the third reading should proceed to protect the electorate's power. This is because the legislature's and the people's power will be diminished if Parliament does not deal with its objections to role of the Constitution Court. Meanwhile, Achapon Jarujinda, Secretary General of the Council of State, clarified that the Council is waiting for the Constitution Court to officially issue its normal ruling, expected within 15 days before beginning to draft recommendations for the government. And additionally, after his return from abroad, Somsakit Suranon, House Speaker, will meet up with whips from the government, the opposition, and the Senate to discuss the way forward for the rewriting of the Charter before the next session of Parliament opens again on August the 1st. Identification of the culprit in murder cases usually provides the victim's family and friends a sense of closure. But in the investigation into the tragic death of a 13-year-old boy, the mystery apparently ends in a disturbing discovery. The police has announced that they have arrested his murderer, a woman who no one would have thought could commit such an act, his grandmother. She had been on the suspect list ever since the police found a strand of human hair on the corpse of Atasit Leelasayut. Though through the DNA testing, the police were able to identify her as the alleged murderer and withheld charges until the family were able to hold the funeral. When Atasit's grandmother was first taken into questioning, she claimed that she had killed him in self-defense. She described him as a disobedient and aggressive child who often abused her. On the day of his death, she said she had shouted at him for getting into a fistfight at school. Angered, he rushed to attack her, so she hit him with a baseball bat until she realized that he was dead. Frightened that she may be jailed, she moved his corpse from their apartment to downstairs, where he was eventually found. However, physical evidence at the crime scene and recorded tapes from surveillance cameras around the apartment contradicted her claims. She later confessed again, admitting that she had intentionally murdered Desease in his sleep by hitting him on the head with a baseball bat. This is not the first time that this woman has been convicted of murder. In 1993, she was charged with the murder of her late husband, but the case was dropped. The National Anti-Corruption Commission subcommittee investigating suspect graft at Suvarnabhumi Airport will next week publish its conclusions about allegations of major corruption at the airport. Meanwhile, a former president of Engineering Institute of Thailand noted that Japanese anti-engineering experts urged Suvarnabhumi Airport to change its runway's surface material from asphalt to concrete 6 years ago, but their advice was not heeded.
The National Anti-Corruption Commission, or NACC, is investigating 24 alleged corruption cases at Suvarnabhumi Airport. Meti Krongkao, chairman of the NACC subcommittee undertaking the investigation of Suvarnabhumi Airport, indicated that next week conclusions on 2 corruption cases will be forwarded to the main NACC board for further deliberation. The 2 charges are associated with the auction of the airport's hotel concession and the procurement of bomb detection devices, the CTX 9000 scanners. The chairman of the NACC main board then has to decide on whether to issue corruption charges within 30 days. A corruption charge related to the procurement of luggage trolleys will be among other cases to be forwarded to the NACC this month. Meanwhile, a former president of the Engineering Institute of Thailand urged officials responsible for dealing with the subsidence found on Suvarnabhumi Airport's west runway to use reason in solving the problem so as to preserve the airport's reputation. He indicated that similar disintegrated runway services in the past arose from both technical issues, which are normal, and mismanagement of runways, the money for which is received only through the collection of levies on flights taking off and landing. The hole discovered on the airport's west runway earlier this month is similar to the damage that occurred when the airport was first opened for service. Japanese anti-engineering advisors had been consulted on the problem 6 years ago, as they found that the surface material of the runway should be made from concrete rather than asphalt that is being used today. However, the Suvarnabhumi Airport did not heed the advice.
And while the government's water management projects and the subsidence found in the runway of Suvarnabhumi Airport are stirring up a considerable amount of speculation over possible corruption, a survey called the Corruption Situation Index, or CSI, shows that graft remains a major problem in Thailand, with an under-the-table fee as high as 35% of a procurement project's value being demanded as a bribe, causing an estimated of 300 billion baht in damage to the economy. The Center for Economic and Business Forecasting at the University of the Thai Chamber of Commerce revealed its biannual Corruption Situation Index, or CSI. The CSI is a survey of 2,400 public servants, business operators, and citizens taken in the month of June. The findings showed that the country's CSI rates 3.2 out of a 10-point scale, where 10 represents no corruption. The worrying ranking is partly due to the government's heavy expenditure on construction projects, which is likely to top 2 trillion baht over the next 2 years. The survey also indicated that there is a collection of under-the-table fees from business operators seeking to win contracts for state projects at the rate of 25 to 35% of the state project's value. This is estimated to cause 200 to 300 billion baht in damage to the Thai economy, while knocking a dent on the country's GDP by around 1.8 to 2.5%, and is expected to get worse next year. The CSI results seem to confirm worries that the country's corruption protection system is failing to produce results, even though the government's placed anti-corruption high on its national agenda. The Chamber of Commerce urged the government to be more serious about combating graft by revealing detailed state procurement information to allow for transparency and full accountability. The arrival of the ASEAN Economic Community in 2015 is being seen as a challenge to not only bridge the gap between member countries, but to make sure that ASEAN people are aware of its relevance. Dr. Runtip Chodnapalai talked with Kun Ponsin Patcharintanakul, Vice Chairman of the Thai Chamber of Commerce, who doubts if Thailand is ready for the AEC, but also points out the opportunities for investment and cooperation, especially with the recent opening up of Myanmar.
Before Myanmar liberalized the country politically, so in a way it looks like that ASEAN as a whole, or Myanmar or other CLMB, the surrounding countries, that's for investment opportunities rather than trade, as I mentioned earlier.
Yes, but the AEC in 2015.
Yes.
Can we achieve that goals?
Well, in fact, the figures 2015 is rather misleading. So, in fact, the 2015 year is just a target year. That's the 10 countries is liberalized according to the target set by the leaders. It's just the target year. There's nothing happening in 2015. Very much different from what we are moving now. For example, normally people will think about zero import duty for every country in the year of 2015. They just imagine that 2015 we will have all free tax for the 10 countries, but that's not true. It's a process of liberalizing import duty, and worse than that, some may not be reached at the end, at the beginning of 2015.
Okay.
And also investment liberalization is targeted at the 2015 for only 4 sectors of services, ICT, tourism, healthcare. So we are now negotiating for that target, but I don't think we can achieve according to what we are looking forward to 2015.
Chulalongkorn University Demonstration Elementary School, or Sathit Chula, has suspended all classes after some of its students were found to have been infected with hand, foot and mouth disease. Meanwhile, kindergartens in other provinces have been prepared for the outbreak. Suprani Chiranarong, director of the famous school in Bangkok's Patuwan district, where students contracted hand, foot and mouth diseases, or HFMD, announced the suspension of all classes for cleaning and disinfecting. More details of the outbreak will be given soon. The school will resume classes on Monday. Some 8 schools in Bangkok have been reported to cancel all classes after students were found to be infected. Additionally, a lot of HFMD cases have been reported throughout Thailand. However, most patients were infected by the Kawasaki A16 virus, which is not as fatal as the enterovirus type 71, the virulent strain of HFMD currently causing the deaths of children in Cambodia. To help prevent the spread of the disease, public health officers and teachers in Ang Thong province have taught kindergarten pupils to wash their hands properly, despite no current reports of any contracting of HFMD. Simultaneously, childminders in northeastern provinces such as Chayapum and Mahasarakham, where dozens of HFMD cases were recently detected, specifically in children below 3 years of age, have cleaned beds and toys to disinfect the nurseries. The Thai-Myanmar Township Border Committee, or TBC, discussed public health issues at their latest meeting, including the HFMD issue, as the infectious disease has threatened the lives of residents along the border before. And last Friday, Thai customs officers have seized almost 500 kilos of illegal ivory at Bangkok's international airport. The elephant tusks were hidden in crates aboard a flight from Kenya.
This is the second time this year that customs have foiled an attempt to smuggle ivory into Thailand. In all, there were 158 pieces, weighing 456 kilograms. Officials say all flights from Kenya are now closely watched, but this particular discovery came as the result of a tip-off. The paperwork for the 6 crates described their contents as being handicrafts. No arrests have yet been made, but the ivory will most probably be destroyed. The international trade in ivory was banned by an international convention known as Cites in 1989 as a measure to prevent the poaching of elephants, which has taken a huge toll on their numbers globally in recent decades. According to United Nations figures, Thailand is one of the 2 primary destinations for smuggled ivory from Africa. It's used to make ornaments for sale to tourists. The other main destination is China. Thailand is looking to tighten its laws to increase the pressure on the illegal trade, a move welcomed today by the Deputy Director of the Customs Department as he surveyed the seizure. He said that this was a good thing, and that if we can step up measures, it will enable us to work better. Thailand has a particular interest in busting shipments of poached ivory. Next year, it will host a major meeting of CITES on the convention's 40th anniversary. It will want to show it is fully on board with its aims. Hugh Adams, Thai PBS.
Thank you, Hugh. And you can catch Thai PBS English News Service again tomorrow, same time, same place. I'm Super Junklin Swan saying good night for now. Sawasdee krap.